I'm your host, John Sleeting, and today I'm joined by Susan Hess.
I got this big order at this first show, and it was huge $70,000. If I didn't get that order, I don't know if I would be in business, because I got orders from clubs that week at the show, but not enough to go to production.
And you were able to deliver that first order of $70,000 within 6 weeks.
And that's where I have no idea what happened there. Like, that was blurry.
You didn't
fuzzy.
sleep at all? You
No.
didn't? It was just...
No. And then I drew a little martini, and I wrote the word Golftini. I don't know why. I go, this could be my logo, and I'll make it pink for my mom.
Hello, and welcome to Clear Conversations, the Entrepreneurial Legacies series. I'm your host, John Sleeting, and today I'm joined by Susan Hess. Before I get into the introduction of Susan, I just want to pause for a second, because we do get this question from time to time. We don't have sponsors. There's no outside payment for individuals that's coming in to us for the sake of hosting these episodes for you to listen. We fund all of this because we just come in contact with phenomenal people that have great stories to share and to tell, from individuals, from families, from their entrepreneurial journey, and from those practitioners within the family office space that are serving the multifaceted needs of families in their total wealth management challenges. We believe these conversations are important, and they're also inspirational and encouraging by all the good work that is being done. So with that, in this conversation, you're going to hear from Susan on her journey. Now, you will hear multiple times that yes, Susan is the founder and CEO of Golftini, and you'll learn more about Golftini, but she's also a mom of 3 boys, a great friend, a philanthropist with a family story that really hit close to her heart early on at a young age, and how she continues to live that forward through her business, through her giving, through her volunteering, and engaging the world around her, and being able to integrate all aspects of her life, reflected in the business, but reflected in the totality of living life well. You're going to love this conversation with Susan, and I look forward to diving in. Susan, thank you again so much for spending the time in the studio. You're running a business, a busy time of year. But when we back up and have this conversation on entrepreneurial legacies, we're going to talk about the business aspect and your entrepreneurial journey. But I do want to start off on legacy and what legacy means to you. So how do you define it? How are you thinking about that? How is that evolving?
I feel like I think about my grandparents, because they're the oldest people that I knew when I was born, and generations, and then how they were different. My dad was different than they were, and now how I'm raising my children and how they raised theirs. So I kind of go back to where the furthest point that I knew, and I had really cool grandparents on both sides. And so I just think of what they've taught me, the lessons through life, and what I've taught my children and how they'll teach theirs. Okay,
and we'll come back to the story detail a little bit. But actually, let's share a little bit about your business, Golftini, and we'll come back to the overall storyline. But what is Golftini, and then we'll give the context of the backstory here. So, what is the business Golftini?
So, Golftini is a women's and now men's golfwear brand that started in 2005. Unknowingly, I just needed a golf skirt, and I couldn't find one that I wanted. I lived in New Jersey at the time. I found a sample maker in New York. I drove to a creepy building, called my friend and said, if I don't come out, this is where I am. And I had this woman make a skirt for me, and I took a couple that I didn't like of mine and said, can you do this, this, and this?
And that was the start.
That was the start.
And so we're going to pause there to keep listeners in suspense a little bit of going, okay, then what's the rest of the story? You mentioned women's wear, men's wear. What's the product line offering in total?
So it offers everything now, but it started just as a stretch cotton skirt. Then I added tops, and then I added sweaters. I went to Ireland. I needed pants, and a jacket. So I just kept making things that I needed and felt like other people needed as well. So it's taken a lot of twists and turns, but I'm really was, and maybe still am, like, I have a recognizable printed and patterned skirt. But through all these 21 and a half years, it's changed and evolved, and now there's all kinds of skirts, yeah.
And just so people can find it online, but also in stores or at their respective clubs, right?
So at country clubs and resorts and online, golftiniwear.com, and also in some big box stores.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Dick's and PGA's and
Very good.
world.
Very
Yeah.
good. So we'll come back in terms of the business story and that entirety of that journey. So now let's go back to, and this is just like almost a providential item that you end up in the golf business. For listeners, where were you born?
Ironically or serendipitously, I was born in Augusta, Georgia.
Right. So if that's not a tell of like the business that you're going to end up in somehow being tied to golf.
It just weirdly, I mean, I think there has to be a big plan because that's so weird.
Right.
Because I lived there for 2 years. My dad was there for work, transferred in and out, born there.
Yeah. But born there.
Born there. Yeah.
Where most people are trying to get to Augusta, you were born there, and that started everything.
Right.
So let's go back to your grandparents then, because they did tie into your golf story, right, and your athletic story. So share a little bit more about your grandparents and the relationship you had there in your early years.
So my grandparents never lived near us because we moved a lot as a kid. My dad worked for Procter & Gamble. They lived in Sacramento, so we went every summer, and they came every Christmas, and then a few times in between. But we always did fun things with them, and one of the things that they did from their age 60, they took up golf and played till they were 90 all over the world. And I thought they were the coolest people, and they had all these stories and all the people that they met. And, they were well and lived a long life. So I really got to know them, and they got to know me as an adult, which was really cool. So we would go to putt-putt because they love golf, and we'd go to the driving range when I went to visit them. And that was just part of our routine of all the other fun stuff that we did. But they did teach me how to, swing a club. I did other sports. Golf wasn't that cool for girls back then. So I knew how to do it, but I didn't do it until later in life.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those are your early years with your grandparents, wonderful relationship. I think when we were coming into this conversation, too, you said you were the only grandchildren on that side of the family,
Yes.
right? So they did a nice job of spoiling you, as all grandparents should, and moving forward. And it sounds like this, born in Augusta, raised with grandparents that are teaching you how to play golf, and your parents. But life has its hardships too, and you had a significant life event that played out in your early years. That's also formed how you think about your business now. Do you mind sharing?
Every single day I think about it. Yeah. But I lost my mom when I was 14 to breast cancer, and breast cancer wasn't even a disease that people knew about. I mean, they really didn't. It was so foreign to anyone, and to my sister and brother and I, we kind of were thrown to the fire. There wasn't therapy. You just had to, we were kind of pushed to move on and keep doing our normal activities. And I think they thought my dad thought we would just be busy and everything. So I didn't really deal with it until I saw my friends in college becoming friends with their moms. I never got to fight with my mom. I saw them fight, and then I saw them become friends. And so I always missed that. And at age 35, when she was diagnosed, when I turned 35, I thought, oh my goodness, I have 3 young kids. She had 3 young kids. So I started this journey on these breast cancer walks, kind of made a big impact in my community, doing these 3-day walks. You camp, you raise a lot of money. So that was kind of my first kind of real philanthropy journey moment, that it felt really good to give back. And it was kind of my way of healing and understanding it all. Yeah. So that kind of carried into when I did start this business. I actually was doing a walk with some friends, and I had already made some skirts, and I had no photography or anything for the business. So we put on a printed and patterned skirt and our Avon 3-day breast cancer walk shirts, and I put some ribbon trim, because I have ribbon trim on all the skirts, on the sleeves. And that was like my first photo on the website.
Oh.
Like that was it. We were in a bar with martinis, and that was my first like official Golftini photo. So
your mom passed at 14, great relationship with your grandparents, getting you into golf, but your dad worked for Procter & Gamble.
Mm-hmm.
So a bit more of a corporate, moving around lifestyle at that point in time in your early years. Working through grief and just age and how to figure out life. And, as I'm sure your dad was too, trying to figure out, okay, what's next. When you look back on those years, like what aspects, the philanthropy is a big part of it, but what aspects of business now looking back do you believe you were learning from your dad, from your grandparents, from life in those hard years that now is part of you and you didn't even realize it was there?
I think a lot of it is empathy, and I think a lot of it is sales, because I moved from Augusta to California to New Jersey to Cincinnati, and I had to make new friends and meet new people. And then when my mom passed, we were in Cincinnati, and, I felt people like looking at me, like feeling sorry for us. And of course, but so as I've been through this journey and other people have lost parents or people, like I didn't really know anything about like death or how to deal with it, but I knew that I felt it. So I feel like I'm a better friend, because I understand it, and I don't want anyone to have to go through those feelings of people feeling like sorry for me, and I felt sorry for me, but like everyone else feeling sorry for me felt wrong. So that was just a feeling that I had in my town, and people cared and came together and everything, but like nothing can bring someone back. So that's why I think we were forced to like kind of get on with it. But I never really got on with it, but I do think that moving a lot, dealing with a lot, helped me in my first career, which was sales. And I think that selling myself and my company is like what I naturally do best. I make a great product, but I can sell. I can sell anything. So.
And so you also said empathy, right? So sales, relationally, being put into different environments, being comfortable in different environments, different people, telling the story. But empathy, share more about empathy and why that is formative in the way that you think about business.
I just think that as I see other people go through things, I have a deep sense of like loss and sorrow, and I can understand when people go through things, and I can not be the one to look at them and feel sorry. I'll do something. Like I'll show up. That's what I do. I show up and I just am there for support, because I know that nothing can make anything better, but I learned how to show up through all these years and just be a person. And a lot of people show up for me, and I appreciate that. And I see when people don't. So I like to do that.
The aspect of putting life in perspective too. When you go through loss, early years, and you look at life, how did that shape then, call it a worldview regarding how you approach every day?
Every day's a gift. I really do think that every day is like a new, fresh start. I love a new week, a new day. I'm a morning person. I'm like ready to go. I just do. I really feel like it's like a reset every single day, and try to be better than the day before. And some days are harder and some days are easier. And in a business, like anything can get thrown at you at any moment in time.
Right.
And you can think you're just sailing through, and then boom, you got to deal with something. So I think just all those things that I'd already had to do and deal with, like helped me be a business person that I never even considered being a business person, but I was. I'm in it. I kind of go with my gut instincts a lot, and my mistakes I learn from, but every single day I kind of use what I had learned before. Sometimes I I learned it the day after. But
Right.
But yes.
All of a sudden you look back on it and you're like, oh, that's what that was
Yeah,
about.
that was that.
It's just this entrepreneurial subject matter, right? And I still look at it. And I know there's academic programs that are out there on entrepreneurship.
Which are wild. One of my sons was in entrepreneurial major. I'm like, what are you studying?
What do you study? Right. And there is an aspect where some people step back and like, I want to be an entrepreneur. And it's like, yeah, I'm not sure it works that way because it kind of just happens, right? Organically.
In my case, yes.
Right. And so let's go to your case, right? Because I do believe that.
I'm not book case.
Right.
No one's writing about how I started my business.
Well, but that's why we're having the conversation because it is a case study. And so we deal with a lot of first generation entrepreneurial wealth. A lot of people that have been in their business, right, developed it, maybe don't even have a high school degree or, they didn't go to college or left college in terms of starting their businesses and companies. And so all these other subject matters regarding estate planning and financial planning and investment, that's like foreign to them because they've been heads down in their businesses. So that's the relationship that Clearwater Capital has back with the families that we serve. So I do become a skeptic, even in some of the academic programs, taking nothing away from your son's education. But there is this, a lot of times it just happens because it happens out of this intersection of, passion, desire, need, background, being born in Augusta, right? I mean, all these things that you just enjoyed playing and, wanted clothes. So let's go back to that origin story.
Okay.
Of you were looking for a skirt and you couldn't find one. What happened next? Because that really is the necessity is the motherhood of invention.
So to back it up just a little bit, I was stay-home mom at the time and doing my breast cancer walks, doing kids, life, everything, busy, lucky enough to be able to stay home with my kids. But I felt like I wanted to do something different. We didn't belong to a country club. I kind of wanted to start golf just because I wanted to do something different. And so I joined this county golf course with these old ladies that are my age now. And but
not so old anymore, right?
Not so old. But they taught me all the rules, re-taught me kind of the rules. I played 9 holes. It took forever because all the rules and you can't pick up this is crazy. But I would then rush to go get my kids at school, and I would end up at 10 at night in this ugly golf outfit because I would just rush. So that's when I needed a skirt, and I couldn't find one. Online shopping wasn't such a big deal 20-some years ago. So I found a sample maker in New York City. I lived in New Jersey at the time. So I dropped my kids at school, drove in, creepy building, met Sherry. She told me where a fabric store was and a fabric store. She told me to buy 2 yards. I just wanted a black skirt, but I just wanted it to fit different. So I walked by a ribbon store that looked like a candy store in New York City, like beautiful. And I went in and I bought some striped ribbon. I thought that might be cute. That was it.
That was it.
I took it to her. She said, come back in a week. I'm like, okay. So I went back in a week, and it was like this perfect skirt, except I needed to add a back pocket because I didn't realize that at the time. But I wore it, and the younger girls of the older girls, we'd go and play 9 more really fast.
Okay.
And they're like, where did you get that? And I said, well, I actually had some lady make it. And she said, will you make us one? So then I went back to this fabric store, and I saw color, not just black.
Yeah.
And I saw everything. And I didn't know these girls that well, but I kind of picked what I thought their personality would be and went to the ribbon store. And then I made myself another one because I was there. So went back. They loved them. Then I was wearing them to my kids' baseball games and stuff.
And all during this time, you're not thinking, wow, this is a great business idea.
No, I'm thinking, when do I get to go back and make another one for me? Because it was kind of fun. So then my friends started to ask for them. So I asked Sherry, being the business person that I was and not, but just I'm like, can you give me a deal if I make 10 at a time? So she did.
So you're already negotiating now.
So I'm now negotiating in New York City in a really creepy
Working
building.
your supply chain.
Right. And, but, paying so much to have it made, and the fabric was expensive and the ribbon was expensive, and I wasn't thinking mass anything. I was just making it, kind of charging them what it cost me but not my tolls, my gas, my tip, my
Right.
babysitter, any of that.
So you're losing money at this point.
I'm totally losing money. But I'm kind of having fun, and it's creative, and I didn't know I had this in me. I do think that I'm a good judge of, like, I can dress someone else. I know it looks good on them, so I think that helped me. And I'd worked retail jobs along the way. So not long story, but a couple months into this, a girl knocked on my door, and her husband was a pro, and he had taught my friends, like, at a club to play golf, and they were wearing the skirts, and they were talking about him. So I kind of knew that it wasn't, they were just doing it to be nice, like, because everyone wanted more. And I just kept making, everyone was unique. It was like bespoke golf.
Yeah, right.
But just out of my house. And so she said, can I sell them in the golf shop? My golf shop. She worked somewhere else. And I said, well, maybe. And I knew I needed a name or something because it just had the size in the back. So I said, give me a week and let me think about it. And I'm like, what am I doing?
And was
I'm
that
like
the point
busy.
in time where you were thinking, oh, wait, this actually could be a business and moving it from?
No.
But you still,
No,
you
but
still
I
didn't.
thought this could be like a fun side hustle of some sort, like to my regular life.
Okay.
So because it was fun. So I thought, oh, maybe I could make some money. I didn't know though, like what I was doing.
Right.
But I knew I needed a name. So I went to the martini bar with my friend. There's this huge martini right in front of us, and all the names were about my grandparents and my mom. Pink teas, Wally's my grandfather. My middle name's Lee. I'm like Lee with a, first martini. We're like drawing pictures of the golf club and the logo, and then I drew a little martini, and I wrote the word Golftini. I don't know why. I go, this could be my logo, and I'll make it pink for my mom. So it's always down low and left, and it's pink. And it's pink if it's on pink. It's always pink. And that was just my little message to my mom. And I just said it's always going to be pink. And some of my factories now are like, well, you can't see the pink. It doesn't matter if it's on pink. So anyway.
So this is where, like, sometimes individuals back up, and it's like, we need the 100-page pitch deck and the business plan and everything kind of buttoned down.
My dad, because I needed a loan, but that's like a little bit later. But I needed a loan because no one would give me a loan, and I got a huge order at this big trade show.
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
And we'll get there. But so at this point in time, though, you're like, it's a side hustle, but I still need a name. I need a logo. You're kind of bringing certain things in, even with it being a side hustle, but these are foundational items.
But I knew that I knew that you needed a name of a something, like in the back of a item.
But the core to who you are, too, of saying, okay, I also want to give a nod to your mom.
Right.
And keeping this pink in terms of whatever the logo
Because I felt guilty that I wasn't using, like, the pink tea thing. But I thought Golftini was fun. So you couldn't Google it, but I could go home and look it up. And so no one had it. And so I went to Sherry in New York and said, where do I find labels, like, for the back? And she pointed me down the street, because now we're like seeing each other every week. And then, and I needed a hang tag, but the label guy knew where I would get the hang tags. So I just started, like, building this community of, in 8 blocks, you can build a whole business in New York City without knowing anything about it.
And how far are you in now from the very first squirt to?
I'm like July. I'm like
3 months,
April
4
to
months?
July.
Yeah. Okay. So it's happening relatively quickly.
Yes. So I now have a hang tag that I had to make 10,000.
Okay, so the first real big order, when you feel like, okay, this could be a business, how did it go from supplying the club, the shop, with additional merchandise, to then that first big order where you're like, oh, wait a second, this is a business?
It was 6 months. I mean, I went to a trade show in January. So, like, by October, this woman was taking, like, 6 skirts on hangers to different pro shops.
Okay.
And they were placing special orders.
Okay.
Which they call my house phone, and my kids would answer. Like, I just found a piece of paper when I moved that said like Mrs. Smith, blue plaid, Echo Lake Country
There you go.
Club. Like, and I'm like, oh my God, my kid's writing.
Right.
But they were answering the
So
phone.
your kids were your first call center then? In
Yeah,
terms
they
of...
were my call center. Yeah, Hess residence, Keegan speaking.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So anyway, like my niece was helping me at the time. She came and lived with us for like 6 months, went to the trade show with me with my friend that I had heard about, this trade show in January in Orlando. It's the biggest trade show. A pro said, it's the biggest show in our industry. And I'm like, I'm not even in this industry.
Right, yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, I wasn't thinking I was in industry.
Right.
So
I'm
we
part of an
go-
industry? When did that
Right.
happen, right?
So we do a lot of prep to go. I went to a seminar that came with the booth package, and it was expensive. So I studied harder at that than anything I did in college because I was actually really interested in
Yeah.
it. And it felt like a ton of money to spend on this. I knew I needed shirts. I knew I needed like a sweater. I needed like a collection. So I created a collection. I got a banner, some business cards, and this booth, and flights, and a hotel, and we're off, and line sheets. So anyway, I have all the line sheets from the year. It's like the jankiest line sheet you could ever imagine.
And this was when now, time-wise?
2000 and this was 2005. So in 2004 was like the pre.
Okay.
I kind of count 2005 at that trade show as like when I really started.
So the business versus the side hustle.
Right. I did in 2004 get a corporation, like through a lawyer, like my name, and I was incorporated as a C Corp, which I didn't know anything about. And they said LLC, they could take your house. So I was like, okay, I'll do a C Corp. I don't know. I didn't know anything
Right,
at the time. But then I go to the show, and two big things I learned. One is my name wasn't trademarked. It is now. But some guy goes, great name. Like I have it huge on a banner. He's like, you should have that trademarked.
Yeah.
And I said, the salesperson in me, oh, it's in progress.
Yeah.
I didn't even know
Right.
how you even get a trademark. But I called the corp guy and said, how do I get a trademark?
Yeah.
And so we did that really quick because then I started to freak out. Like what
Right.
if someone takes my name and I have it in my 10,000 labels, with
Yeah.
my name in it? So,
So you had an attorney. There was a business
No.
attorney that was...
and just a friend of someone that I paid to incorporate my business.
Okay. So from that first trade show and that first big order that comes in, and we'll go through that if you look back on that first time horizon, given what you know today and things like that, I should have gotten that trademarked, I should have done this.
I knew nothing.
Those lessons learned that you did, finding the ribbon and finding the hang tags and finding all just kind of working that personally, like what advice would you give yourself now to yourself 21 years ago regarding the startup of the business?
I don't think I could give myself the advice, but I could give so many other new people the advice.
You mean like people that are listening right now? What would
Yes.
you encourage them if they're in their first year right now, what would you be like, okay.
Go get like the book for dummies, how to start a business, like how to write a business plan.
Yeah.
Because I had to do that very quickly because I got this big order at this first show, and it was huge $70,000. PGA Tour Superstore was opening their first store. They wanted me to come and be.
So your first big order was from PGA Superstore? Mm-hmm. Right.
And
So that's a great way to start a golf business.
Well, actually,
then, too.
I don't think if I didn't get that order, I don't know if I would be in business because I got orders from clubs that week at the show, but not enough to go to production,
Okay.
which I knew nothing about. I had asked Sherry before I left, hey, do you think you could, if I get a lot of orders, can you do them faster? And can I get a deal? So I didn't think I'd really get a big order.
Yeah.
I told my family, when I come home, things will go back to normal. I'll make dinner again.
Right. Well, and so what in your mind was a big order going into the show? Like what were your...
We were kind of guessing, like, how many squirts are we going to sell? And we were guessing, like, 70 to
Okay.
100.
Okay.
Right.
So that's where your mindset was going into the show itself.
Like, that would be great.
And that would be
That would be great.
pay
But
for
it
the
was
trip, pay for the
hundreds,
show, pay for the booth.
They bought thousands. And but I didn't have all the fabric. Like I only had the ones we made. So I never thought about a big order and what if I didn't have any excess.
Right.
I didn't.
Right. And how big was this order again then too?
70,000.
70,000.
Mm-hmm.
So you thought it was going to be 70 and it ended up being 70,000 coming back. But you didn't have full
Well,
production
and they don't
lined
pay
up.
you till later.
Right.
Like net 30 or 60. I didn't even know what that meant. But wait, I'm like, do you give me a down payment or something? Like I was like, I'm just going to make all this and you're going to pay me later? How does this work?
Right.
I didn't know that. They taught me a lot because
Okay.
I needed to be on time. I only had 6 weeks. So we're celebrating and I ran into someone in the bathroom and I tell this story and I'd been at a little like trunk show with her at a country club the summer before.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a sales rep for another brand. And I ran into her and she goes, "Oh, you're here." I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "How's it going?" I go, "I just got a huge order." And I go, "But I don't know if my lady can do it." I was kind of like starting to freak out. And she goes, "Oh, my husband's a production manager in New York City." And that's where the serendipity of all this comes in. I was in his office on Monday morning, and he was my production guy, which I didn't even know that was a thing, for 7 years in New York.
Wow.
And he taught me everything, and his people, and then where to buy the zippers, where to do this, where to get everything, like in mass. And
you were able to deliver that first order of 70,000 within 6 weeks.
And that's where I have no idea what happened there. Like that was blurry.
You didn't sleep at all? You didn't?
Mm-mm.
It was just
Mm-mm.
nonstop at that
Like
point.
I had to get a UPS accountant to ship it.
And your boys, because you have 3 boys,
Mm-hmm.
and they were how old at this point in time too?
5, 7, and 9.
Right? So you had a few things going on at home.
7, 9. Yeah, 7. I can't do the math right now, but 7, 9, 11.
Yeah.
Busy.
Young,
Boys,
busy,
sports, all sport, all boy, all teams, all everything.
And you're running around with the business and family and trying to do all
Right.
those things.
Right.
So then the success of that first order
In my house.
in your house,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the boys being your call center at the young
Basically,
age.
yeah.
So then that was then okay. This is a real business.
When we
moving
came home from the show, we needed to figure out how to like bill something. So we got QuickBooks, and then like inventory. And so I needed a loan, and a bank wouldn't do it. I needed it quick. I called my daddy. Feels silly saying it, but he said, "I will give you a loan. You'll pay interest, but I need a business plan." I'm like, "Dad, I will write one later. I don't have time to write a business plan." And that is when I went to Barnes & Noble and I purchased business plans for dummies.
Okay.
And I wrote a business plan for him, not me. I just wrote it to like get something to him. So I needed cash to buy all this fabric. So I didn't write it for me because I've recently written a few of them.
Yeah.
And they're for me and my business now, but this was just like for my dad. Like this is like, come on, Dad. Like I please. And he's like, "I need a business plan," which is like how he taught me a lot of life lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Was the harder, which is good because
Right.
I ran out of money at school, and he's like, the deal was you pay for your books and your spending. And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'll get a job when I come home at Christmas." I ran out for the whole year by Thanksgiving the first year. And he's like, he said, "No." I said, "No, but Dad, I will like pay you back in a month." So I had to get a job. And I had to get a job. A lot of people work through college, but I had to get a job right then, right there.
And so back to like life lessons and growing. And your dad doing it in the moment. It didn't feel good. It was like
My grandparents sent me like $20 or something.
So on the side, as grandparents should.
Right,
back to
right,
that.
right.
But those like life lessons. How much do you look back on that and go, okay, I got way more out of doing that than just checking the box to get him a business plan, without reading too much into it?
Well, I mean, I didn't take business in college. I went to Ohio State. I took communication. I can't even believe you don't have to take business like in school. I loved advertising. That's what but it was my senior year that I took it. And I was like, well, I don't want to change my major. I want to get out and do whatever I'm going to do. But I felt like I didn't want to do that. I didn't know about business. I didn't have a design degree. Like I was just figuring this out, but I knew that I could like hustle my way through it, just like I got a job in college or a bunch of jobs to fund my lifestyle. So I always have worked, and that's fine. And I do look at that lesson, like when my kids like were like, "Hey, I'm out of money," I was kind of tough, and it's hard to be tough when you want to.
Yeah.
But I didn't even have any money to give them at the time, so I was like, "You got to get jobs."
Yeah.
So
how important is that work ethic, the work ethic aspect of just life, served you in business now for the 20 plus years?
Well, I think it's incredible.
Everything?
Because a lot of kids these days, oh my God, I'm so old. And mine, my kids had to cut the lawn, right? And everyone had like a lawn service where we lived. And they were like, "Oh God, I have to cut the lawn." Their friends would come over as like a novelty because like they've never used a lawnmower. Well, I said, "Well, I had to cut the lawn." He's like, "You had a riding mower." I said, "I lived in Ohio. I had like 7 acres. It took me half the day to mow the lawn on the mower." They're like, I go, "We live in a postage stamp, right?" And so you're just pushing this thing. But, I do feel good about that. And I feel like they know hard work and they watched me. I don't think they understood it as we went through it. And now they kind of are starting to see like, yeah, this wasn't so easy.
Yeah, yeah. From that, from the first order to production to delivering in 6 weeks, the business had continued to grow then and realize success in a myriad of different ways. What were some of the other mile markers along the way that were major business accomplishments? And then I want to go through a few different areas too, with the boys all being in the business now, the philanthropic piece of it. But what were some of the major events that you looked along the way now that you had a business?
Well, there was a big crisis in 2009 that impacted my business. A big store canceled their order. I'd already made the stuff, so I had to kind of hustle that product and take a loss. But people that were affected, my customer was higher end. Maybe they didn't buy 3 squirts; they bought 1. So it kept going, but like that was a big punch in the gut because I'd already produced all this, and that was just a loss. That was just a loss. But struggled through. I had 1 employee by then, and she and I were doing everything from she'd run my kids around. Like if I couldn't, she would keep it going. I think we had 1 sales rep at the time, but I couldn't make payroll once. I went to New York, hacked my Rolex, paid her. So I feel like I always have done the right thing. I would never miss a payroll. I would never, I just knew things that I, would never, ever let happen and hustled through that.
And so not just to pass over that, right? Because, that was
I didn't
challenging
have
time in the
do.
world.
Right.
But you do everything. And this is where I do think sometimes everyone in the end likes to see the entrepreneurial success stories or here's the house or the boat or the whatever the story is, right? And call it the glitz and glamour and the fame. But no one hears the backstory on going, no, you do whatever it takes, right? And you do whatever it takes to do the right thing.
I had so much debt. I was credit carding things. I was doing everything I could to keep everything just going. And then you get a big hit, and that would take some of the debt down. But through all the years, we really steadily kept growing. And in COVID, we took a big jump up, and that did help a lot. And I, once the last child went to college, my company started to take off. And by that, I was still a mom, and they played college sports, so I was still going to their stuff. And, I was a mom first always. And just this week, someone introduced me as this Susan. She owns Golftini, and I'm like, but I'm a mom and I'm a friend, and I'm not just Golftini, but I'm kind of known for that now. But I really am a mom and a friend first, and a sister. And
so how'd you maintain that during the financial crisis? where you're literally selling your watch in order to make payroll and do that, and being able to handle the stress, not let that spill over on, the kids that were still younger at that point in time. Be a good friend, right? The weight of all of that. Where did you find your outlet then to maintain sanity? In the midst of the chaos.
I exercise every single morning. That's my stress release. It's not a job. It's part of my day. It's not bragging about anything. It's just I've always done that. That helps keep me sane. If I get off schedule, I feel off. So that's just part of eat, sleep, drink, whatever I do. So that helped. Good friends. I did get divorced in the middle of this.
Okay.
So that added a lot of layers to
in,
that.
In that same time frame.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So, that was a couple years after I started and, just grown apart. And I was really into my business, and there wasn't a mutual understanding on that at the time. We're friends now. Mm-hmm. But that was hard. That was super hard. And paperwork and stress and as if I have time to do all that
right.
too. But so that was a hardship for everyone. And
right.
then managing my kids, and in a weird way, that empathy that I had, I feel like they had, and I felt guilty. But then I watched them support their friends that had gone through divorce in a empathetic way. So it's weird that I'm tying those two things together. But as a kid, divorce or a death is both horrible.
Yeah.
So, but we're all good now. We have a group chat, and we all care about each other, and that's where we are.
Yeah.
Took a while to get there, but we're there.
Because no one is unidimensional. No one is business only, right? You want to be the good friend. You want to be, you carry all these titles
Right.
that go through things. So there's a story I want to come back to, but I want to play. Do you believe that challenge is different for women than it is for men in terms of wearing all of those different hats
I do.
in their business?
I do.
So please share more about that.
I hope that it's changing, but I was lucky enough to have a partner that supported me to be able to stay home with my kids. I worked until after my second kid, and it was easier to work, 100%, than to stay home. Staying home is hard. But I tell my son's wife and the fiance, always keep your pinky toe in something, because someday the kids are going to go. You never know what's going to happen in life. Have your own thing. And I tell everyone that. And that's some advice I would give myself. That's the advice I would give myself is, and I kind of did it. I had a little side hustle with my friend. We did a worthwear thing where we did this. People would come into our house and buy stuff a couple times a year. So we were kind of always doing something, but I have friends that once their kids went to college, if I didn't have this, what would I be doing? Maybe a really good golfer.
You'd be a really good golfer. You'd be on tour now at this point in time. Is
I'd
that
be
it?
on tour. Yeah, senior tour. But yeah.
And so then going back into 20-some years ago, probably more male-dominated at that point in time in the sport of golf overall. So how did you then? You shared a lot of just the grit in terms of learning and fighting your way through and navigating that. But were there barriers you felt like you had to break through? Were there opportunities that got created because you were a woman in the business?
I feel like there's opportunities now in the last, I would say, 5 to maybe 10 years, maybe 7, that opportunities have changed because of being a women-owned business. People that start a business now, I think they go and get their women-owned business certificate, which is a lot of paperwork, so I haven't done that, but I'm actually a women-owned business. So I should get that paperwork, but I haven't done it yet. So I feel like back then, like you said, I didn't tell anyone I was a women-owned business. I didn't really talk about that. It wasn't part of our narrative. I didn't really talk about the breast cancer part. I just did it. I started putting pink labels on things that say we support breast cancer, and I couldn't give money back at the time, but I could promote breast cancer awareness. I made a lot of pink things at the time. And the shops that were buying it, I would donate a squirt to them and they would raffle it. So they would raise money. So I was like, that's how the breast cancer part started to come in. In COVID, the beginning of COVID, my son got furloughed. He lived in Denver. And he said, how can I help? I'm furloughed. I can't work. And I said, well, I need help with marketing. And he was the entrepreneurial marketing major. And he said, I'll do anything but market. And I'm like, no, that's what I need.
Yes.
So he came on, like officially, and figured out how to market. And I mean, he knew how, but he hadn't really done it. And we knew someone that like we paid to help her like teach us kind of the basics. And I was on the calls too.
Okay.
And then he started to just run with it because I was packing boxes and it was a crazy time. But we had a very tight, small team, and we grew $2 million that year with this tight team and not the systems that we needed. And, you know, it was kind of insane. And then the next year was more and more. And then so I say now we're kind of a startup after 20 years.
You still feel like a startup?
Restarting. Just because we're settling in, that the boys now, all three of them, they went and worked different jobs. And then it wasn't a planned, I'm going to bring my kids into this. And I thought, okay, maybe I'll sell it one day. But I like doing what I do, even it's crazy. I love doing what I do. And then the first kid came on, and 2 major fights in 2 years, like major, like I'm a middle child, he's firstborn, like boom. Said things you don't want to say to your kid or your employee, which you would never say. But we learned from that. And then he was in Denver, and then when the second kid came, we had 4 major fights in the first 4 days. He sits next to me, and he was eating lunch, and he came from a very corporate environment where you had all your PTO for. I'm like, get over it. Like, this isn't how it works here. No. And we have PTO, but just a different. His first career was very different than how it is at Golftini. So, anyway, and then the third one came on, and he's the middle, and he's in Arizona, and we haven't really said. We just kind of get each other without fighting, but we both know what we're thinking, so that's how we get through it.
So on the intra-family dynamics, right? The fighting, the things you say, the heat of the moment, the nature of business, right? Business can be messy and a big challenge, and can be hard, and
we call it blurry.
And so in that blurriness, then feelings can get hurt, even with all of the best of intentions and the right. And then you go back to these other hats, but now you're mom, right?
Sometimes I'll call and say, I'm calling, or I'll text and say, hey, can you talk? It's mom. Okay. Versus, I've learned to like respect their boundaries. Like on a weekend, I don't mess with it unless I really need to. So we're trying to respect boundaries. So that's the biggest thing I've learned, and giving them enough time where I give other people time. There's never enough time, but I recognize every disagreement or look I learn from. And actually, Parker, who sits right next to me, like he points out some key things that, because he sees me every day. Yeah. You know, and I do walk in happy. And most people walk in happy. And I'm like, you should walk in happy. You know, we're the leaders of the team. Right.
All 3 of them, did you approach any one of them, or did all 3 of them approach you about joining the business?
They all approached me.
And so
the first one, I think, the youngest talked to the first, like, should I do this? And when the youngest came to me, the second one that joined, he said, Mom, I'm thinking about joining. I go, joining what? What are you talking about? And I go, what are you going to do? And then we had like a real conversation, a real interview, this is what it is. This is what it's entailed. And so he came on 2 years ago. And then the third like threatened in and out. And I think the oldest said, hey, you should join, because when in the world would you ever be able to work with your mom? All of us together. And and he took a while to come on. He kind of vetted us, and we're like, we're vetting you. So we're all vetting each other.
But did he come on to work with his mom, or did he come on to work with you as president and CEO of Golftini?
He came on to be passionate about work, where he was doing a great job. He was in logistics and worked for 2 companies over the years, and he's 31. He's like, I want to do something that I'm passionate about. And he's the one that kind of worked for me the most.
Okay.
Like in college one year, I said, you can work for me, but there's rules.
Okay.
You have to be on time. You can't smell like booze. And you need to be like showered and ready to go. And one day he wasn't on time. I'm like, you don't work today.
Right.
So go back up the stairs.
So those sort of boundaries, right? In anyone that's, intra-family,
Right.
In business together, that they're protecting the boundaries, text messaging on the weekend, this is mom versus here's a business item we've got to
And
go
we
through.
learned that, because I was just like, hey, like, and they were like, it's Saturday. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh.
So
Right. So now I write an email and I snooze it till Monday morning.
Okay. And so some of those lessons learned then to maintain the
I learned
family
it through
relationship.
them. Yeah.
Okay.
But I also learned it for my other employees. Because even if I say you don't need to respond, I was doing this, like either texting or emailing in the middle of the weekend, like a question that I had.
Yeah.
And I would start with, I don't expect you to answer this, but then you're like, if you feel like you need to answer. So I learned to snooze. I learned that from some woman at some event. She's like, oh, Susan, you just snooze it to Monday morning.
How important do you think it was that they worked elsewhere and that they came to you?
Hugely important.
Yeah. And there's not right or wrongs on these, but explain more about why you think that's so important.
Because they have had a different boss, and they've had to be corporate. My first job was corporate, and I learned corporate stuff that I still bring into my company. But like I went through training. They all went through a training program, right? I think that's important. Like they didn't have silver spoons in their mouth, and I wish we all had silver spoons, like hanging around, right? But they didn't have it, and I don't. They said, "Mom, you can do whatever you want with this. If we want to grow this, and we all want to grow this right now more, because it's fun right now. We're just getting in our groove, with just getting everyone kind of in their perfect place, and really working hard on that for my whole company." And so that's like fun, but they're like, if you want to sell, it's your thing to do. We can start something else or do something else. Like, so that's where we are right now. We're the new addition of Keegan in January has been a fun addition, because now we all get to see each other more often, even though they come in once a month. But I see their faces on Zooms and calls most days.
So 21 years into, and you still feel like a startup. And then, the flip side, because we work with all these entrepreneurs, right? And we tell somebody at some point you're going to exit. Now, whether you're exiting because you passed away, you're exiting because you sold, you're exiting because you have a succession plan in place that takes place, you still feel like you're in a startup. So it's like, okay, we're still heads down. The tyranny of the urgent comes into the way. You got to make these orders and get this done. How much time do you find you're thinking about and allowing time for thinking about exit and long-term planning?
So I feel like I've just started to think about that.
Okay.
And by that, I've thought about it throughout the years. I have, base plans in place. If, something would happen to me, like, what do you do? But now it's kind of a new thought of thinking, and we're making a lot of internal changes right now for the better, which are rough and tough and crazy right this moment. But there is a plan to have a sit down in August and make our plan for next year, and really kind of talk about like where we're going and why. And this past year has been a lot of like profitability instead of just more. Like let's look at where we're going, and that's where it's great to have them and my other team members' perspective on that. I have a good CFO. So we're starting to talk about all the things that I need to talk about and should and will have in place. But it's, I'm not sure. Like, I like this right now. I still got some good years to go. But I would like to do less of the day-to-day stuff, but I still know more than anyone. And not like I know more than anyone, but like I just know the way that I want it to be, and I'm showing them what I've done in the past to get here and stay in business. And that's not get greedy, do the right thing, always like follow up, close the loop, ask more questions. Like that is what I'm teaching them right now, where, maybe some of their corporate jobs, you didn't care as much, but they do care and they do have stake in it. But I feel like all my team members have that feeling, and they've been with me longer than my kids. Like I have a couple people working for me that have been longer. So they're part of the family too. This is just real family now. So, we grind, and I still get in there and do it. They're like, you shouldn't be doing this. I'm like, I know that, but I am right now because I want to set an example of how I really want it to go, and you guys to learn these things that have kept me in business by doing the right thing. And, my customers know that we're good at what we do, and we make good stuff. So like my customer service is just off the charts, and it's everyone in there like making it better. And my sales reps are the face of my brand, and we support them. So then they support us and they brag about us. So that is what I see as a legacy going on. I would never want that to go away. That's where if I sell it, would it go away?
Right. So let's define that a little bit more. But if we go back, right? I mean, going back to the fact that you sold your watch, making payroll, the responsibility that you felt then. Has that responsibility only increased because the team is much bigger now, right? The business, the expanse, the sales.
You want me to sleep tonight? Is this what we're talking about?
You got to sleep at some point, right? In terms of that, but that weight, right? What's the saying? The heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Right.
The responsibility, and now all three of your boys, their livelihoods, right? Their family, they're thinking about
scary.
that dependence.
This is like, what am I thinking about tonight? Yeah. No, it's scary, and it's.
And when you say scary, like how do you calibrate what's like this scariness?
I don't want the train to get off the tracks, right? And that's why we're talking about profitability and not just sales, and looking at all the aspects of the startup, like kind of re-looking at every single thing. So we've changed some systems that we're good, and we're just doing them because they worked, but like, is it the best? So we've really reevaluated, and that's where I say the startup. But like with this growth, we needed to change, and I didn't have maybe the team at a certain point that could do these changes. So we were just going and going. But the growth is fun and allows us to get a little more creative. Debt freaks me out because of the past. So I'm very conscious of, I'm very generous, but I'm very cautious of getting out of control. So sometimes, like it's fashion, you're supposed to go through it and make more and all this. So I'm looking at inventory levels. I'm looking at things that like I didn't really have time to look at before. And that's kind of fun because then you see what we're doing. It feels cleaner. It feels lighter. Like we're just kind of taking out the garbage.
So 20 years ago, do you think you'd ever tell your future self that looking at inventory levels was a fun thing to be doing? Was that what you set out to do? Is that the fun part of it?
It is actually insane that I just said that, but I really do like the root of it. And
the root of it is the understanding of your business, the understanding of the dynamics.
And there's things that I'd let go for a while, and I had to bring them back because it wasn't to my standard. So now I'm training someone versus just hiring someone to do production because I'm picky. And
so help other listeners learn, right? That 20 years ago of those lessons learned, to say how do you then grow, manage growth, maintain your standards, have high expectations for what excellence looks like, and then be able to convey that to others so that you're not doing every job in the business.
Right. And that's the hard part. I did every job at once. I can't do every job. I'm not in marketing. I'm meeting with marketing and we're talking about like my vision. For a while, they were just doing their thing. I'm like, this is how I'm designing it. Because it really starts with, I design it. So it really starts with that. Mm-hmm. And then everyone does everything else. So I get behind, right? I'm like, you guys, I can't sit in this meeting right now. I have a deadline and I need to, if we don't have this, we don't have that. So they're trying to take things off my plate so I can really focus on what I'm good at. I'm also good at doing things last minute, so probably better the Ohio State way. But anyway, I have let go of a lot of things, but I'm still controlling the things that actually my customer needs. And I build a team. If I was going to say any advice, is build the team and trust the team. Be generous to the team. They're your people that are doing the jobs that you're not doing. Mm-hmm. I'm not answering the phone, even though I did last week. It's kind of fun. But they want me to be the face of the brand and do the design. And I'm selling myself and Golftini everywhere I go. Mm-hmm. I'm here. I like doing this stuff, but there's still so much stuff going on in the back. Right. So my team is helping me with the other stuff so I can do more of the stuff that I'm better at. Mm-hmm. I'm not good at finance. I'm not good at inventory turns, but I'm learning how to be and who to trust to help me with that. Mm-hmm. So I'm still learning. I mean, production is crazy. Last year was crazy with tariffs. It's just a big bowl of stuff every single day.
All the time. The pillars, though, that you look at, you go back to making the logo from day one and the nod to your mother, the pink, the philanthropic, and the giving back. You talk about customer service. What are the pillars that you'd say Golftini is built on? This, right? These are. So really I think we're
built on values, good quality values. The customer's always right. That's a big, huge pillar. I say customer service, but that is the forefront of what we like to do. We like to surprise and delight. We like to exceed our customers' expectations. That is what we want to do every single day, period. Mm-hmm. Through design, through customer service. If we mess up, we make it right. From the end user that's buying on the website to the merchandiser at the shop. Mm-hmm. That, we find joy in that. And I say that, and I know that everyone would say that. We do put out a good product, so that's great and that's fun and stay on trend but keep core. Over 20 years, I have a whole new customer base. I mean, I was 40 and now I'm not.
I didn't ask.
But I have the 25-year-olds and coming in, and I have my 80-year-olds that they still wear my clothes. So looking at staying in a lane, but with blurry lines of keeping what we do best. So I think that you can start a golf company right now. You make something, you go online, you get a website. Everything's a little bit easier to do now. Mm-hmm. If you're a woman, there were 50 new women's brands at the show this year. Last year there's 50. This year there's another 50, but only 20 came back because it's hard. And it's full of more women's brands than it was when I started. But I talk to a lot of people. I like helping the younger women, give them advice that I'm one mistake. If you make one less mistake than I made, you're good, right? But it's fun to do that. I feel like that's my way of giving back too. And, I add layers and layers. I'm on a golf committee for a big golf tournament through American Cancer Society. I love doing it. I'm do I have time? Oh my God. But I love doing it. And I found great great organizations that I like to work with to give back to breast cancer. I get up on my soapbox on my Instagram once a month, and I say rabbit, rabbit, which is good luck for the month. And I talk about breast cancer and new things that I learn, I'm sharing with my customers. But the message is early detection is the only thing that can save your life right now. So people are listening. People thank me. We started the men's, and it was called Everyone Knows Someone Collection. And it was about getting the men involved so we can give back more financially and more audience to that. And all the men are loving that this is what we do because they know someone.
Right.
So, now we're, cooling up the guys' stuff. And, I get a lot of feedback from the boys. And Parker's the one that's like really into, we should do this, and this. So that's like the fun part of collaborating, not the...
They're moving into the design side then too
right,
with you.
Right.
So, and that the totality of the integration, right? I mean, and where we started and the fact that, giving back and having your product and reflecting and that nod to your mom, not just in a logo, right? Not just in the pink logo and the awareness, but the involvement of your time also and in different organizations focused on breast cancer and cancer awareness and the American Cancer Foundation. So all of those aspects you've integrated, but in such an organic way, right? Where it wasn't the full business plan other than for your dad's loan, right?
Right.
It wasn't that here's the business plan, we're going to have this all solved on day one. You were just being you and bringing out these parts of you that were important of you wanted to play golf and you wanted proper attire for, what you wanted to look like out on the golf course, and then expanding that and growing this business and then philanthropically giving back. People would look at that and say, I've got to go to school and write out this business plan. And yet you can just evolve it and live it, yet it's a lot of hard work, right, in the meantime, and it's the curiosity. What characteristics of you do you think have been the most important? You talked about empathy earlier. You talked about hard work. What else surfaces that are like, really, if you're going to engage in this, the whatever the number was you just quoted, right? 50 brands were there last year, and they're not this year. Or only 20 came back of the 50, right? So
this is what I think about a business plan, and I do think it's important and it's good structure. 7 years in, I went to this community, Goldman Sachs, 10,000 small businesses. They are trying to grow 10,000 small businesses. And I learned everything that I didn't know. And what they taught me, and I was in a group, like it was 30 of us, 16 weeks, it was round the clock, like work, because I would go home and have to do my job. But like Mondays and Fridays, I was like at school. I was at the LaGuardia Community College, sponsored by Babson. But they brought in all these people, and I was in a group of my little cohort were like 8 people, and we all had different businesses. But we all had the exact same issues. Not enough money, not enough people, and not enough time. And they taught us to work on our business, not in it. But we're all working in it. We don't have time or money and all that. But that's in the back of my head, and that's how you have to think. One of the biggest takeaways from that group of people, I had a call once a month afterwards. And I remember I was really creative, and it was summer, and I took the call outside because it was in my home at the time. And I walked outside and I had my shoes on. It was hot. I just remember this moment. And I was going to make these tech jackets, and I was going to do kids' clothing, and I was going to do. And the guy's like, slow down. And he said, what are you known? He said, what are you known for? And I go, what do you mean? And he said, what is Domino's Pizza known for? I'll just never forget this moment. And I'm like, hot, cheesy food? I don't know, late night. And he goes, 30-minute delivery. That is what they do. And I'm like, okay. He's like, what are you known for? And I said, printed and patterned scores. He goes, stay in your lane, get that solidified, and then you can go out. So in my head, I was about to go in a billion directions, but without money and a loan and a plan to do this, this, and this. I had to be very cautious. If I made one shirt at the beginning, I made it in one color. And then if it was successful, I would make it in 2 colors. Now I start with 2 or 3 and add more, but I couldn't get out of control. So not having a big loan to go do the business plan helped me stay in my lane and see what was working. I could test a few things, and I'm still testing. I still don't go like full out because I mean I do a little bit, but like where I know it's going to work, but you never know.
Right.
And so I don't want to get out of control that way. So I went and spoke with this seniors at FIT. I was invited to go speak with this, like a mentor of mine said, why don't you come speak to my class? I'm like, okay. So they were seniors in fashion and business. They're about to graduate. And I told my story, and they're like, no way. And I'm saying, what I'm telling is you guys have every single thing you need. You just need an idea, and then you can run. But like, don't wait for everything to be perfect if you have an idea, because it doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
And they just looked at me like I was actually
It's
crazy. But it was a very cool thing to do because they couldn't get over that I started a business without a plan.
Right.
But a plan's good, people. Like a plan is good. But I think circle way back to I think your question was the 20 people that came back. Like a lot of people get all the money, they do all the right things, but they're not pivoting. And I think in business you need to pivot. Like I've had to pivot through my whole life. And so to me, like I get really calm when I'm more crazy. But I don't think generally people, like they're uncomfortable with that. I'm comfortable with change. And I just am.
Yeah.
And probably because of my whole life. But I think that is how I've stayed in business because I can move quickly and change quickly. And I'm just paying attention to what I need to do. And through COVID, through financial crisis, through divorce, through like every single thing, you have to like change and grow. So I think if you can pivot and just step back and, okay, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And that will help. But it is
the
a
flexibility.
hard...
Have the plan and the flexibility.
And the flexibility. If
'Cause
you're
life's
having
gonna
a plan, right. I'm more flexing than the plan, but I like it should be that was the way.
Well, it's I mean, this is where I can't help with my mind. You have
Right.
the business plan for the business.
Some people freak out when they're like, oh my God, how do you not have a plan?
When this is where my mind was going, because it's like the way we always look at businesses within the work that we do is the business is an asset on the family's balance sheet. So you got the family's balance sheet, that there's a value of whatever's being created, but then you have the totality of that. So then we get into a whole separate, and I know we're winding our time down here, so listeners don't have to be overly concerned, but the estate planning, the financial planning, the tax planning, right? Here's how that asset now fits back into the totality of the legal, tax, financial, and investment structure for the family, aside of what's going now inside of the business. But having the business plan help feeds into that valuation of the asset, but then all these other plans. And most people don't have those plans in place either, whether they're corporate executive or an entrepreneur in their own right or whatever, they don't have those plans. I don't know if it's a symptom of just the human experience that planning's important, but yet it's like you get caught up into the day-to-day and you don't actually get it done. I
totally agree with you. And I had mentioned, like, I did an emergency plan. I was, like, leaving the country, and I was like, oh, my God. And I did an emergency plan. And that set me on the path of, okay, it's time to plan, right? Like, I don't want this just to poof. It's too much work, and it is a name. And, I like to be known as Susan and a mom and everything, but there is this Golftini out there that was, started by me, and I would like it to go on in the way that I built it in terms of just doing the right thing. So I do need to set things up because if something did happen to me, like, and they had to pay the death tax and this and all that stuff. So I agree with that 100%. The business plan, I still do, and there is a plan. It's a little more loose. But, with my kids, they're all different. And so we're bringing it together and making the plan.
So as we wind down our time together, there's a story that you shared with me. It came up at a trade show with an individual that you had a conversation, and they pushed you off at that immediate trade show. But then there's the rest of the story that comes with that. Can you share that story as we?
Yeah. So in our just brief conversation before, one of my highlights of a moment with my children working for me, this man that I met at the first trade show, he bought for these big, huge corporations, and he sat and looked at my collection, and he liked it. And he said, well, if you're here next year, I'll buy from you. And I'm like thinking, buy from me now. And he said, no, if you're here next year, I'll buy. And I'm like, why? And he said, just ship complete and ship on time. And I thought, why wouldn't I? Now, I manufacture in New York. I'm controlling everything. And he goes, because it's hard. And I thought, what's so hard? And then things happen, and something doesn't come in on time and whatever. So he told me that, and I lived by that. And then the next 20 years later, 18 years later, like 2 years ago, we're at a trade show, and he's with his wife and his daughter, and I've known him, Mike Abbott, I'll throw you out there. And he looked at my boys, and he said, your mom is a class act. She had set the standard for this industry. She's always done the right thing. You should be really proud of her. And I've never felt like so proud of myself in the sense of, and then the boys are looking at him like, oh, she's our mom, right? But they heard it.
Yeah.
And it was a nice comment to like hear someone else compliment me to my children. And I love that. And because I didn't plan this, right?
Yeah.
I could have been a bad person. And what would they have said? I don't know.
Right.
But I do believe in just
the right thing.
Doing the right thing, yeah.
And that legacy component and that living on and all the other aspects of business that go on and where people want to take shortcuts
Right.
or try to delay on payroll,
Right.
whatever it might be, right?
Right.
That comes in because it's hard to do, but doing the right thing. And if that's your brand, right, that's what you're known for too, and in addition to, because your product line's expanded, but from that Domino's question,
Yeah.
that's what you're known for. That's a great legacy to have too.
I love that.
Closing words, closing thoughts, closing advice, words of wisdom then for listeners at this point.
I think if you have an idea, go for it. They say, I forget the percentage now of businesses that fail after 5 years, but like I'm 20 in, I never thought about failing ever. I just kept going and look at where I've gone. But it's been hard. It's hard. But if you have a good product and you have a good team and you have a good philosophy on what you want to do with your brand, I think that anyone can make it. You just got to pivot, shift. If it's not working, do something else. And that's how I'm here today. So that's what I know. But I love to help people, and there's so many people out there that want to help other people too. So you just have to ask. It's like asking the sherry for the label guy to the zipper guy to all the people. But just asking and being a kind person, I think, is the best thing.
Swallow your pride. Just keep asking questions and keep figuring it out as you go. Susan, thank you so much for spending time with us in the studio. You do have a lot going on, a lot of hats that you wear. And I think the example, though, that you set for entrepreneurs, men and women, old, young, everyone with the ideas that they have and doing the right thing, in exploring that and then having fun, right? And being able to give back like you do, you've got the complete package. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Wish you wonderful success. Listeners, if you want to continue the conversation, you want to get in contact with Golftini, send us an email at clearconversations@ccpwealth.com. With that, have a blessed day.